With breaking news, there is a large police presence right now in Haltom City after a sheriff's office tells us that a deputy shot and killed a suspect there.
Yeah, we want to get straight out to our Scoop Jefferson, who's live there at the scene. And Scoop, you just spoke with folks from the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office. What are you learning right now?
Yeah, we're learning what happened here in Haltom City. Behind me, the sheriff is with his rank and staff. We just heard from the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office Chief of Staff. The shooting involving one of their deputies is obviously still under investigation, so they're releasing very limited information right now. We have learned that the sheriff's warrants team came here to the 5600 block of Twin Oaks Drive. The deputy chief says the target of their arrest warrant did not cooperate, had a weapon, and attacked one of their deputies. The deputy is going to be okay, but here's how the sheriff's department says the warrant arrest played out earlier this afternoon.
Deputies attempted to serve a warrant at a location. Suspect was armed with a knife. An altercation occurred. The deputy was injured and the suspect is deceased.
The family of the person killed in this incident is here on the scene. Right now, we're still waiting to learn exactly what that arrest warrant was for. The Sheriff's Department says as they're investigating, they will be releasing more information. Again, one person killed, a sheriff's deputy injured, but is going to be okay. And again, we're waiting to learn more information about what happened here on Twin Oaks Drive in Haltom City. Back to you in the studio.
An armed man is dead and a Tarrant County Sheriff's deputy was injured following a deadly shooting in Haltom City. The Tarrant County Sheriff's Office says deputies were serving a warrant at a home when they encountered the man armed with a knife. They say a deputy was stabbed. The man was shot and killed. His family says they called for deputies to come to their home because of a mental health episode. Fox 4's David Santendry live at the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office. David.
Yeah, we know the Sheriff's Office serves mental health related and criminal warrants, but it's unclear which type of warrant this deadly shooting was related to.
Tarrant County Sheriff's deputies shot and killed a young man while serving him a warrant inside a home off Twin Oaks Drive in Haltom City Friday afternoon. The Sheriff's Office delivering a brief statement on scene saying the man was armed with a knife.
An altercation occurred. The deputy was injured and the suspect is deceased.
The Sheriff's Office did not publicly answer questions. Family members of the man who was killed claim deputies made a fast and abrupt entry.
They didn't talk to him at all. Why? I don't know. What are the procedures for the Tarrant County deputies? Is that it? Just drag him out?
Family of 19-year-old Christopher Loyo identifies him as the man killed Friday afternoon. Loyo's older brother says he went to a judge Thursday asking for a mental health warrant. He says his brother was displaying unusual behavior throughout the past week or so.
He locked himself in his room. He wasn't eating. He was saying that his food was poisoned. He doesn't trust anybody. He was very paranoid.
The Sheriff's Office serves mental health and criminal warrants, but will not specify if this was related to mental health, criminal offense, or both. Tarrant County court records show Christopher Loyo was charged just last Wednesday with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon for allegedly threatening a man with a firearm. Loyo bonded out 2 days later. Again, it's unclear if that charge has any connection to the warrant served Friday.
We wanted him to get help, to take him to the hospital. He didn't want to go willingly.
Loyo's brother says his family wanted what's best for him. They were home when deputies entered, and while they did not see everything that happened, they say they heard it. They wonder if things could have played out differently.
I just heard the gunshots and the taser, and that was it.
A deputy was reportedly injured during that altercation with the subject and that knife, but he is said to have a non-life-threatening injury.
I want to say good morning, first of all. I'm not the one, to be honest, I'm not the one to be here. This is out of my zone. I'm not in the politician world. I was Christopher's brother. I was the one that requested the warrant, trying to get him help. And this is the reason that we got. And first off, where is the sheriff? I think it's kind of odd that he was here to receive the award, but once he saw the agenda, where is he? Okay, that's a little odd. I want to say thank you to Miss Commissioner Simmons. She's the one that brought it to the agenda without even saying anything to us. She just put it on there and we just confirmed, yeah, and we sent over the questions. you're my precinct representative, and you haven't talked to me, you haven't brought anything up. Why is that? Don't know. My brother was the 70th person dead since his election, because the sheriff is elected. Am I correct? Right. He's elected. Whenever I let the sheriffs in to get my brother, because I was instructed that he was going to be taken to GPS for MHMR evaluation. They didn't use me. They didn't use my mother. They opened his door. My brother was having a mental episode. I'm not sure why it was not reported, because I heard everything. They tased him twice back to back, and then they shot him right immediately after. I have law enforcement training. I was a police explorer. Obviously, I'm not a full police officer. I'm not licensed, but I have somewhat of a training, and I understand how tasers work, what leads to someone to deploy a weapon. I understand that. What I don't understand is why wasn't there dialogue before? Why didn't you say, hey, Christopher, do you want to talk to somebody? Hey, Christopher, how you feeling? You just opened his door, tased him twice, and then shot him. I just got done burying my 19-year-old brother. My mother's right there. What do I say to her? What do I say to her? I just want to have a little bit of a statement to the sheriff that apparently he's not even here. But you never knocked on his bedroom door. You never tried to simply talk to him. A simple hello. This could all have been avoided by just a conversation. He wasn't a threat to anybody. We didn't get his body a week after. I was the only person that saw him. I did not want to let anybody see him. People, my family doesn't know why, but I know why. Right in his face. Right in his face.
Thank you.
Wow, that's incredible. I just hope that this comes to the light, and I want to see body cam footage. I want to have a meeting with you, with Ms. Simmons, with the sheriff, if he's even willing to say anything to me. Because he showed up on the scene, they're going to look my way.
All right, following Reed Bills, we have Katie Starnes.
According to an article in the Star-Telegram about this incident, the judge who issued the mental health warrant assured the family that mental health specialists would come to the family's house to take Christopher to a mental health facility where he would receive treatment. Instead, deputies from the sheriff's department arrived to remove him forcibly from his bedroom. The sheriff stated that the deputies specialize in serving mental health warrants. It appears that these deputies either had no training or inadequate training. One deputy suffered a severe cut to his hand. This suggests the deputy charged in and tried to grab a knife from Christopher. Not a wise move when facing a young man who was experiencing psychosis. This was clearly a result of the lack of training mentioned above.
Is Ms. Starnes present? Following Ms. Starnes, we have Nan Terry.
As somebody who has a close relative with bipolar disorder, I understand what it's like to need outside help when a loved one is going through severe mania and psychosis. In the past, I would have considered asking for help if my family member goes through another crisis, which they probably will. It's part of the disease. Because I was under the impression that, and I don't know if I'm wrong, I thought Tarrant County had approved MHMR to have their own bulletproof vests to wear when they ride along with police during a mental health warrant or these types of calls. And if we had spent money for MHMR to tag along with police and wear a bulletproof vest, then why weren't they there at Christopher Loyo's home in January? And why was this mental health warrant recommended if the city is going to send out police and not mental health professionals along with deputies? I don't think it's fair to the deputy to expect them to be a mental health professional on the fly. So why wasn't this resource used? This death could have been prevented. And you know, police can be very intimidating on their own, especially to somebody who's going through severe mental health issues. And I would be scared to call for a mental health warrant for my loved one. I am very sad for Christopher Loyo's family.
Following Ms. Terry, we have Carla Palomares.
In previous court sessions, we found that MHMR staff is available to ride along with local law enforcement. We have trained mental health experts to assist local law enforcement. I encourage the sheriff deputies to call on MHMR to prevent another situation like this. And if there is, in fact, not enough MHMR staff to assist the sheriff in this endeavor, I encourage this court to modify the MHMR contract to pay for MHMR staff to be available to accompany deputies serving mental health warrants. Thank you.
Following Ms. Palomares, we have Bayana Abdullah.
My name is Carla Palomares, a resident of Precinct 4. Firstly, I do want to thank Commissioner Simmons for representing Tarrant County well and always listening to the people, especially those who are not in her district and who are asking for help, because they're not receiving it from anyone else on this court. Thank you, Commissioner, for serving people who desperately need and deserve answers and accountability. TikTok. Yet another countdown has started. 19 days have passed since Christopher Loyo's life was unjustly stolen by the Tarrant County Sheriff's Department. TikTok. 19 days have passed and Christopher's family has received no communication from any other person on this court or the sheriff about that day or been reached out to for what they've needed as community members, as taxpayers, as residents of this county. TikTok. 19 days have passed and the body cam footage from the deputies who were present when this murder, yes, murder, took place and has not been released to the public or the family. TikTok. 19 days have passed since our 71st death occurred that this court and the sheriff, Wayborn, are solely responsible for every single one of them and continue to prevent and defend as acceptable and commendable. TikTok. 2,912 days have passed since Wayborn was elected, and yet he's failed us over and over again throughout these days. It's been 750 days that you, Tim O'Hare, and you, Manny Ramirez, have sat on this court and continue to let incompetence run rampant in the sheriff's office. He's the one needlessly putting lives at risk, the lives of our residents, the lives of those who work for that department. When are you going to fire Bill Wayborn and call for an investigation for his costly negligence? This court must demand the body cam footage be released immediately. TikTok, commissioners, your time's up.
Is Mr. and Miss Abdullah here? Following Miss Abdullah, we have Bishop Kirkland.
Good morning. I'm here today to call for the full release of the tape of Anthony Johnson Jr.'s murder in the Tarrant County Jail, and to call for the release of the body cam footage of the murder of Christopher Loyo. For the past 5 years, I've been a public school teacher, both in Houston and in Dallas, and I live in Precinct 1 of Tarrant County now, that I've moved into grad school. And I'm telling you this information because I know what it's like to be a public servant. And it's really infuriating and wild to me to look around and to hear that teenager's mother behind me, and then to see people like laughing and kikiing with the sheriff earlier, like, oh, congratulations, you guys stopped the bad guy. And then he comes and he says, you know, training and courage, right? Well, clearly they didn't have the training in this scenario, and they didn't have the courage not to kill a teenager. That's wild. And public school teachers, they do it every single day. Kids try to, when you work with kids who have disabilities, they will try all the time. If they're having a mental health crisis, they will try all kinds of things. But we know what to do, right? We know how to prevent them from killing themselves or from hurting other people, right? So why wouldn't we, and we're not wearing, we don't have body cameras and we don't have bulletproof vests. These guys do. And it's not possible for them not to kill somebody? Come on. You can't tell me that that's not possible. And I also think that for every single person sitting in this room, this should actually hit home for you. I'm looking around at people and I feel like I'm in another dimension. It's like, where are we at, right? A teenager died. I should be hearing very concrete things about policy. I should be hearing that Ramirez is meeting with their family. Why are the most basic things not happening? It's actually the least that you can do to show somebody that you respected the life of their child. A teen being killed isn't something unavoidable. It's not an incident that happened on January 31st. It's a kid who should still be here. And this office continuously allows these things to happen and then comes and talks in meetings about, it's so annoying that we have to spend all this money on these lawsuits. Those lawsuits wouldn't be happening if Anthony Johnson Jr. was still here either. Mental health beds, we don't know, right, if we're gonna get the money for them. Why is that? Is that acceptable to us? Because we know we're gonna get money for the sheriff's department. We know we're gonna have money for war. We know we're gonna have money for law enforcement all the time. But we don't know if teachers are gonna be able to get new microscopes. We don't know if we're gonna have mental health beds. Do better.
Following Bishop Kirkland, we have Charles Bills.
Here again, this is such a sad scenario. I got questions. Why, my first question is, why is Commissioner Simmons the only one asking questions? Why is Commissioner Simmons the only one challenging this outlaw sheriff? It makes her look like the bad guy because she should go along to get along. And I submit that's why we're here now. It's too much going along to get along. What kind of de-escalation takes less than 2 minutes? This young man stood here today. He was there. He's not making this up. I watched the news. The family said less than 2 minutes after they walked out of the house with this young man, he was dead. That ought to be a problem. Then we come down here and use ugly words like transparency. That's the nastiest. You talk about decorum. That's the nastiest word I've ever heard. Transparency. When have you ever been transparent? And that family's back there waiting to see a videotape that they will never see because it will be caught up in bureaucracy and red tape because that's not the way Tarrant County does business. And I feel bad for this family, and it's a shame. I know for a fact that Fort Worth Police Department in their budget have room for ride-along mental health specialists. Why doesn't the county? Why are we sending non-specialized people that need special care, and we wonder how we end up here again? It's derelict, it's misuse, it's abuse, and it's a damn shame that we come here every week, every 2 weeks, and we deal with this boy is not a statistic. He was their son. He's not a statistic. He's dead. You do know dead. Not breathing. Lying in a cold ground when a 19-year-old kid should be playing a video game or at least dealing with the sensation of his first by being third love. So here we are again at this hollow space asking the same questions. In the Marines, we should say stuff rolls down here, and that's what's happening right here. Because if it rolls uphill one time, and we get the real culprit, we get the real person, forget about all this training we're talking about, forget about all this stuff, and there will be other bodies. There will be other bodies, and we'll just keep writing checks.
Following Mr. Bills, is it, which one is that? Mr. Bills.
Kind of what everybody else has said is what I was planning on saying, but the one thing that struck me is when Alyssa Simmons asked the sheriff spokesman, do they have funding for these MHMR people to go on these warrants? And he said, no, we don't. Then why are they doing it? If Fort Worth, Arlington has them, why not just contract it out and say, let them take their cops out to, you know, if it's Haltom City, then, you know, it's not a long drive for either Fort Worth or Arlington. So, you know, if it's just something that the Tarrant County Sheriff's is, you know, apparently with the proclamation, you know, they're good at handling warrants for actual, you know, threats to society, but when somebody's a threat to himself, it seems like that's beyond their means. So, you know, I think we should, you know, if you either spend the money on getting those people or else contract it out to the police departments that do have that. Okay.
Thank you. Next we have Lydia Faith.
Hello, my name is Lydia. I'm here today to demand transparency and accountability from this Commissioner's Court and the Tarrant County Sheriff Department. The Sheriff Department must release the full tape of the murder of Anthony Johnson Jr. The Sheriff's Department must also release the full body camera footage of the murder of Christopher Loyo. Why are y'all constantly hiding from the public when we are the ones you're supposed to be accountable to? Every single person who has been murdered in the Tarrant County Jail should be alive today. The Sheriff's Department, Tarrant County Jail, Bill Wayborn, and this Commissioner's Court all have blood on y'all's hands. The Commissioner's Court must demand Wayborn's resignation and do a full investigation of the Tarrant County Jail and the Sheriff's Department. How many more people need to be murdered for y'all to do something about it? 71 people since 2017. One person is too many. Earlier in this meeting, you mentioned mental health beds, which means mental health is somewhere on y'all's mind, just not a priority to ensure it's actually enacted throughout the department. This department isn't equipped to handle a mental health crisis without murdering someone, so why is a priority not looking further into how deputies are trained to serve mental health warrants? Why wasn't a non-police mental health professional accompanying these deputies, and why don't they go on every call? And why is it that the sheriff isn't even here to answer these questions, once again leaving us without any answers? He should be here and hear from everyone, and he should be here in every meeting. A mental health crisis should not be a death sentence, but in Tarrant County, it is. Demand the resignation of Wayborn, do an investigation, and release the body camera footages.
Is Joe Palmer present? No Joe Palmer. Okay, so that's all the speakers we have signed up. On Mr. Merritt,
sir.
So I would like to get information to the members of this court on what would the process be to make sure we did have MHMR people or appropriate mental health providers to go along.
So I think we have the law liaison contract. Is that one for today, Helen?
Part of it is. Part of the grant that covers the law liaison program with MHMR is on the court, is on your agenda today. And then the other portion is a contract that we do specifically with MHMR for training and ride-alongs.
But we don't currently have them go on every mental health warrant.
I'd have to ask the sheriff on
Okay.
that, sir, but I can check that.
I would like to get information on, does Fort Worth have MHMR folks that go along on every ride? I'd like to know the numbers of how many mental health warrants are served on an annual basis. And then what would it take for us to have whatever mental health professional it is from wherever they are from to be part of that? I'd like to have those answers.
Okay. One other comment.
Judge, I have one other short comment, and it is to the family of Christopher Loyo, and I would like to express my condolences to them. I have not gotten to, because of all of the travel I've been doing, I've not gotten a chance to sit down and meet with them. And so I want the mother and the brother and all of the rest of the family to know that I am so sorry this happened, and I pledge to get to the bottom of it. When in Austin for Tarrant County Days, me and my staff also spent the days meeting with our state leaders to talk about bringing a state mental health hospital to Tarrant County, bringing more beds here. And so I am trying to be optimistic about that because there's not been an author identified for the bill, or at least last week there had not been. And so just wanted to say I'm so sorry to the mother and the brother of Christopher. Thank you.
So, just so we're clear on one thing.
Yes, sir.
There's certain things that require bills, and there's certain things that do not. And you can appropriate funds without a bill. So, just so people are aware. What was your question?
Just well, one comment, just as a reminder. So back in and this is mostly for my new court members. Back in the fall, this court authorized 3 requests for information for the sheriff's office. One of those particularly was related to the use of body cameras by the sheriff's office.
Right.
I believe those RFI responses came back at the end of December. I believe all those results are with the sheriff's office for their review, and I believe at this point they are looking to potentially add something to next year's budget to potentially ask the court for funding in order to do something of that sort.
Well, after we see what I've asked for, we may decide to deal with it before next year's budget. Sure. So, okay. Next we come to our public comment section. There is...
Well, I've got one comment.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Move along.
Sure.
Well, to answer the question on Fort Worth, yes, they have a partnership with MHMR where they do have liaisons that ride along to mental health calls. And again, to the family, I'll echo Commissioner Simmons' sentiments. No family whose family member is going through a mental health crisis who reaches out for help, obviously that families don't want that, so it never should have happened. We have to have a system that makes sure that it doesn't happen. So in any case, I mean, I'm fully supportive of helping in that effort to get resources for mental health calls for the sheriff's office so that we make sure they have all the tools necessary. So.
Okay, thank you.
Judge, if I may as well echo those sentiments, I am committed to supporting whatever we can do to ensure that people who are in our custody and care don't die. To the family of the 19-year-old young man, Christopher, you have my deepest condolences. I am so sorry for your loss. And I am committed to making sure that people who are in mental health crisis don't die when they're in our custody and care. Thank you, Judge.
Yeah, I think it's been a great conversation that started off because of a tragedy that happened. I want to extend my sincere condolences to the family as well. But I hope this also shows that, you know, your feedback does matter. Some great questions today that I was contemplating, like the judge. Why didn't we have somebody there? What keeps us from that? Is it protocol? Should it be protocol? Do we have training for de-escalation? Are there certain units that are sent out on mental health warrants who've been trained in de-escalation? If they haven't, why not? And so I think it's been very helpful for me. I appreciate the comments today, highlighting some of maybe the weaknesses or inefficiencies in the training or the system that we have. And so again, my sincere condolences to the family who doesn't have their 19-year-old brother to be with anymore, but hopefully some good will come out of that, so nobody else has to suffer that as well. So thank you for your comments today.